Tom Lewis, how are you, my man?
Really good, thanks. All the better for having you on my computer screen.
Computer screen, radar. I saw. So I'm on your screen now, but I haven't been in your ear for the last few weeks. So how has that been? Missing my presence in your eardrum?
I've gone wild. You've heard of Girls Gone Wild. I'm Dad Gone Wild. I've just been smashing Krispy Kremes and sitting in my jocks and drinking. Nah, just joking, just joking. Yes, it's been a while, but I guess it's that time of year, isn't it? Everybody's got stuff on, so just try and focus on what I know and what's been working for me, and knew that we'd catch up eventually.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think it's important to just let the guys listening to this just provide a little bit of context as to how we met and how our relationship kind of developed over time. I actually came on your show, which is K Rock in Geelong, for a morning interview, and we were talking about health and well-being when it comes to men's health and in particular fathers. And it was the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
It was, yes. Yeah, I believe I was put in contact with you by another company, and I had to reach out because it really spoke to me. Being a new dad, I had found it really difficult, even when my wife was pregnant before the baby came along. Found it really difficult to maintain my fitness regime and I guess my commitment to that I had for years leading up to it. I'd always been pretty active, and whether it was just walking and running and stuff, or actually going to the gym on a regular basis, I'd always been kind of that kind of person. But just seemed once the wife started eating and having cravings, I was having sympathetic cravings, and then it just all went downhill from there, and there's just too much going on. And so I had been feeling for a while like I needed to pull up the handbrake and do something and get back to that and get fit again, particularly if I want to hang around with baby and see her grow up and be around for as long as I can. So I knew I had to get kind of back into that whole style of life, and I just didn't know how. I just needed something to kind of shake me into it, shock me into it. And the email came along, and I was like, oh, this sounds like me. Yes, we will chat.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that you were like kind of indulging into the sympathetic cravings that Kalia was getting into during her pregnancy, because there's some strong statistics to support that men put on a considerable amount of weight during their partner's pregnancy. So you're not kind of alone there. The statistics back it up. The problem is once mum has the baby, their weight tends to shift in a certain direction, and dad's weights tend to go up that way.
Yeah.
And it's great that you kind of predicted that there was a change in your behavior, and you were able to kind of make the appropriate arrangements just like there and then, which is awesome.
Yeah, that was good. It was like I was meant to get that email. It just was, yeah, it was meant to be. It was really, really good. I'm really grateful.
That's wonderful, because so many of the people that have been able to reach out to us are 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years down when it comes to being dads. So being able to catch that and interrupt that kind of behavioral decline, for lack of a better word, is a super cool thing for you to be able to do. So we jumped on a call, and we really just nutted out what your personal situation has been like, what changes have been, what changes you've made unconsciously, and also, whether we could potentially, help you out and be a factor in your life where you can remain accountable and have a little bit of extra support. So during your time with Hero, what did you find were the main changes between when Kalia was pregnant and after the baby?
Well, I just think being committed to being active and feeling like I could allow myself to make time to exercise. I think in conversation with you, just vocalizing how important it is to be able to make that time, and then actually being able to do it somewhere where it's the least inconvenient. So, you know, I finish work, doing breakfast radio, I finish work at like 11 o'clock in the morning.
When do you start?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But, you know, I mean, the trade-off is I'm at work before 5 every morning, so swings and roundabouts. Quite often I used to finish work, go to the gym, particularly when Carly would be at work. I wouldn't have, you know, much else to do unless I had some sort of work arrangement or was meeting someone for lunch. So I'd almost always go to the gym straight after work, and that would keep me kind of, that was my routine. But once Carly wasn't able to be as active as she would be, because we would exercise together outside of her work hours and stuff, I stopped doing that. I started having, you know, more stuff on my plate, things that I needed to do, getting organised, getting ready for the baby, making sure, you know, all the flat packs were put together and all that kind of gear. It was just, my focus was good, just went out the window in terms of my physical fitness. And then baby came along. All of a sudden, I have a reason to want to get home the second I walk out the door, or even before I leave work. You know, like I by myself at work, like doing the show's fun, but after the show, when I'm supposed to be planning and doing recording interviews and going off and recording videos, all that kind of gear that we do behind the scenes, find myself being like, yeah, this is good, but I just want to get home because I know the girls are there and that's just where I want to be. And so to then add on top of that an hour at the gym, it just was never going to happen. It was just not, and I still can't really see myself doing that now, because I'm not in that position where I want to set that time apart. Although I will say we're about to send her to daycare week, so I'm going to have a bit more time to myself once I finish work and I get over the first couple of months where I just want to go and pick her up straight away. I will actually probably start taking more time for myself, but now I can just come home and do my workout, or, you know, go for a walk or a run, you know.
It's a bit of a game changer, you know, and that's what you find with every chapter of your child's upbringing. You know, it's about, for me, it was about me kind of just moving, you know, and being flexible to the family's needs. And what I found, much like what you were saying, was if you're being able to do your workout at home, you can kind of slot that in with that flexibility of lifestyle, and that's a perfect thing for you to be able to do. What I also find is with you know, making healthy food choices, I find that a lot of people, dads specifically, will say, I don't have time to eat healthy. And I just think from a logical perspective, I understand from an emotional perspective, to be able to delegate that bandwidth to be able to eat healthy is a struggle. But if you break it down to a rational perspective, once we were able to ingrain healthy choices into your meal choices and your diet, what was it like for you on a day-to-day basis?
It was actually pretty surprising, at least to start off with, because I thought I was making some healthy choices, and I was making a few healthy choices, but there were some of the choices I was making that I didn't even realize weren't healthy, like eating a lot of bread. I always just grew up thinking that bread's, you know, one of the healthier options, rather than having potato chips or something like that, or have a piece of toast or whatever. But in conversation with you, I learned that not only is it not super healthy, but particularly the $1.50 loaf from Coles or from the supermarket, you know, isn't a very healthy option at all. So it was a real kind of educational process for me. And just the intermittent fasting, I think I thought I would struggle with a lot more than I did. And I found that, yeah, that's one of the things that I've really kind of, once the 12 weeks finished, I've really stuck with, and it's kind of continued, particularly, you know, I'd say probably 5 out of 7 days a week. I'll find myself getting to that, you know, 11 o'clock mark was about the time for me. So, yeah. So it's been interesting.
That's great. It's great that, you know, our 12-week period has finished and you're able to achieve the health goals you set out to achieve, and you're still maintaining, aspects of this hero program. And for me, it's so important to impart not just information onto our clients, but also to it's that whole teach a man, or give a man a fish he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish he'll eat for a lifetime. To be able to give you the tools to be able to make like intimate and long-term changes within your life. And it sounds like it's really, that's exactly what's been executed.
Yeah, well, I always hated black coffee, or I just tried it maybe years and years ago, and I wouldn't ever go back to it. But working again early hours of the day, I would smash 3 coffees in a morning, and they would be white with 2, always white with 2. But not anymore. That's another thing that I've kind of stuck with. It's just black coffee all the way now.
And it's amazing, there are so many hidden health, deficits in drink, and a lot of people don't actually consider that. I'll go through a bit of a screening and a questionnaire with the client, and I'll be like, so, what have you eaten throughout the day? Great, tick, tick, tick. And then, what are you drinking throughout the day? A juice from prepackaged juice container, Coca-Cola, this, that, and the other. And it all adds up to a really significant amount, just because there's no density when it comes to, you chewing it. That stuff can often be the thing that tips the scales when it comes to you trying to achieve your goals. So good on you for making just a small change like that, because you've removed 4 packets of sugar from, or let's call it, you said 3 coffees, so 6 packets of sugar from your morning, and all the rest of it. So
and I think about that too when I make my coffees of a morning. I'm like, there's 2 sugars that I didn't have. It's cool. It's a good way to kind of reward myself, just having that satisfaction, and it encourages me to keep going and do it again.
It's great. And during the period of time that we were actually training together, it happened to be, the month of November, and we were working through that Movember challenge. Just wanted to touch on that, and also just touch on the importance of what, NEAT is, the acronym of NEAT. We tapped into a little bit of a challenge, which was doing 30 squats each day for the 30 days. And to me, being able to do that throughout the day just doesn't necessarily put the burden of somebody saying, okay, I need to put my shoes on, get dressed, have a shower after the workout, but it's just peppering exercise throughout the day. And the power that can have, whilst unassuming at the time, can be really powerful if you keep that as a part of your life.
Yeah, for sure. We for people who don't know, my co-host and I did it, Loggy, and she quite often talks about it. And so ever since a couple of times a week, we'll just be standing there mid-show while a song's playing, and she's like, shall we? And I'll be like, yeah, no worries. And then we'll drop and we'll do 30 squats. Yeah, just
mate, I love that, mate. That makes me so happy.
Because once we did that month, she was really happy, and then over the following month, she was like, I've noticed that the perkiness has gone away. And I was like, hey, don't ask me. I'm not going to be. I can't tell you whether the perkiness is still there or not. I'm the wrong guy, but it was cool. It's one of those things you can do anywhere, and it's that fitting it in where you can. And for us, it's during the songs while we're doing the show, and we're standing up anyway. So we're at the desk. We might as well just drop it low.
Drop it while it's hot.
Yeah.
And you're spot on, doing it during, for you guys, it was doing it whilst a song was being played. For other people, and so many of my clients, it's like, you're going to the kitchen to make a coffee or a tea. The kettle's being boiled. How many squats do you reckon you could do whilst that kettle's boiling, as opposed to like scrolling through Instagram?
Yeah.
All of these things are called neat activities, which really are just broken down to the acronym being non-exercise attributed thermogenesis, which is really just a sexy, funky way of saying, you know, incidental exercise, stuff that you can do throughout the day that is not really, it's kind of masters just everyday activities.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing that you guys added on top of, and Loggy was able to get the obvious physical attributes after, which is pretty good as well.
You replace the no, she's now got a boyfriend, and I don't want to say it's just because of the squats, but
I was, you know, like it's hard to identify exactly why it is, but you know, squats, me, geez, I should definitely get a best man.
yeah,
Night,
and business idea, maybe start a dating service as well, hero dates or something.
I love it.
Not for married guys though. That's already a thing, and that's not.
Not so good. so after Hero, it's been now, you know, a couple of months, 2 or 3 months actually since Hero's finished. What do you think you've been able to maintain, and how is your life kind of feeling now in comparison to what it was like after you had India and before Hero began?
Okay, so we'll kind of touched on it before, and that's the diet stuff has really kind of stuck, and so I know that I'm eating healthier than I was before, and I am thinking about the choices I make around my diet a lot more, which I think makes a big difference. But also, but in terms of weight and that kind of thing, I was a couple more kilos heavier than I would like to have been at the time. When we first started, you and I agreed I didn't really have anything to lose or much to lose, just to trim those few kilos off and get back to a weight that I was more comfortable with when I looked in the mirror, but also when I looked at the scale. Like the number that I was like, oh God, I'm on the higher end of what I've ever been. It's nice to be back where I'm comfortable, and that's where I like to be weight wise. So it's been nice to be able to kind of maintain that and just feel like I've got the energy to be active and out there and doing stuff with Bubs, like playing with the baby and not feeling tired, especially in a job that I do where, like, you know, I get to the end of my work day at like 11, 12 o'clock and I'm in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. It's really easy to just stumble through life exhausted. So anything that I can do to kind of mitigate that a bit really goes a long way. And that's kind of what I feel has happened since I've started.
That's wonderful. And I also want to acknowledge that, you know, you're probably in the minority when it comes to people's goals being weight loss versus, you know, just feeling fitter and healthier. And, you know, there's a lot of dads out there who have slowly kind of gotten to a weight and a body composition that they're not proud of. And they want to kind of move further towards what they were like in their 20s, for example. And it seems like you were able to maintain a relatively healthy weight, but it was things like your energy and being able to adjust to, you know, waking up early in the morning and still maintain the energy to be with your family and to be able to give to your family. And one of the things that I really pride Hero on is being able to identify individual situations and situations like yourself where you had a unique you know, need, and it was the talking points that we touched on every week, being able to kind of get on the phone and be able to say, okay, what are your challenges this week? How can we help kind of navigate them over the next few weeks? And then we're like, okay, great, now let's make some more goals and readjust.
Yeah, what I really appreciated too with that contact that we had was the celebrating of the wins and not the self-flagellation or the, you know, really drilling down on the failures, like, because everybody does have their, you know, ups and downs, and you have your wins during the week, and there's stuff that you want to do and it doesn't happen, and there's, you know, goals that you have and you set and you don't end up being able to fulfill them for whatever reason. And the way you kind of handled it with me was, I was like, oh, okay, I really expected him to be shitty at me for having all that pasta for lunch or whatever it was, for not fasting the full, 16 hours. Whatever it was like quite refreshing, I thought, and it encouraged me. I don't know if it works the same with everyone, because I know everybody has a different kind of way that they are motivated, but it certainly was the right way for me to stay motivated and go, oh, okay, he's not going to just get on the phone and go, okay, here's 16 reasons why you were shit this week. It's like, hey man, you did this and that's really cool. And you got 5 days out of 7. You did your workouts, even if it was 4 days out of 7, that was cool. Like, I really appreciated that approach.
Yeah, thank you. And likewise for you, being able to achieve that 80-20 success rate. I'm going to use an extreme example. If you're going to be smashing Maccas through drive-through every day, let's say you bring that down to 3 or 4 days a week, that's still a win. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's a scale. And in my experience, like you said, emotionally beating the crap out of somebody for not being able to complete 100% of a chosen task, it doesn't seem incredibly constructive. And in my experience, people have actually retreated and gone back into their shells. And then they continue to emotionally eat even more and move back into that negative space. But if you don't celebrate your wins, then there's no motivation to continue achieving. So, and you did it, and you were taking positive steps week in, week out, and you were making healthier choices when it came to what it is you're putting into your body. Like you said, from week one, the education's one thing. Being able to acknowledge that, $1.50 loaf of bread from Coles may not be good for you, but then by the end of the program, and even just a few weeks after that, you were able to actually work that into your daily practice, which is perfect.
Yeah. And I think a big thing is the spur I needed was the physical spur to get me moving. And once that kind of once that wheel was turning, the mental side of things turned with it. So once I got my body active, once I got into a routine with that, the mental stuff just came along with it. And then my perspective changed. And so now as a whole, I look at things more positively. I celebrate the wins and I don't deride the losses so much, So, yeah.
I love that. And being able to acknowledge that there are a number of different pillars when it comes to taking action with your health. A lot of people wait for the mental inspiration to be able to take action physically. But sometimes simply just taking action physically can spur on the mental inspiration. And that's exactly what happened with you. And you continued to do so. So, mate, you've done brilliantly. And I just want to thank you so much for participating in the program, but more importantly, taking positive steps with your life and your health. And I hope, yourself and yourself, Kalia, and India have all reaped the benefits of it.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're very grateful, and thank you to you and Daniel for being the catalyst that I needed to get back to myself, and not only that, but a better version.
You're a champion, mate, and thank you so much for coming on and having a chat about your experience.
No worries. Good luck, guys. You can do it.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.